TCU's game versus West Virginia started off with a bang, but it ended with a whimper. Oh yeah, it's Locked On Horned Frogs. Play my music.
You are Locked On Horned Frogs, your daily podcast on the TCU Horned Frogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Horned Frogs podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything TCU athletics, Monday through Friday. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey is over. Just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Starts with an S and ends with an S. I am Darian Gray, aka the Mouth of the South. Let me know if y'all can hear me. I know last time I did this, I didn't necessarily have the proper preparation. I came in, I had my microphone off, took me 15 minutes. So I just want to make sure I'm here before we get too active, because we're going to be honest today. We're going to be completely honest with it today. So let me make sure that everybody can hear me. I'm going to check my volumes. Let me know, make sure I'm good. Let me make sure I'm good. Richard Berry, we're going to get to that. Richard Berry, all right, cool. Rich told me we can hear me. You can hear me. Okay. Are we going to be honest? Are we going to lie? Are we here to tell the truth, or are we going to lie? Because I prefer to tell the truth. So if you want to hear the truth, then you're in the right spot. But are we going to tell the truth, or are we going to lie? Because West Virginia probably feels better going into this game or going out of this game than TCU does. And I know that the Frogs got the win, but I think West Virginia probably feels way more encouraged than they should have walking out of this game, or that we expected coming out of this game. Now, I'm not here to be upset, but what I won't do is give in to a win is a win. I won't be backed into the corner of at least TCU won. I'm not doing that. I allowed that last week. I think that Baylor was a rivalry game. I think that it was a competitive opponent. I think that it's a game that you could have lost. This game versus West Virginia is a game that you should have won. This is a game in which I thought you would actually win comfortably. So I'm not going to be backed into the corner of at least you won. And also, how many weeks in a row am I supposed to accept at least you won? I know it's hard to win. I know that. But I feel like you were a better team than West Virginia by a decent margin. Now, I'm not here because to me, at least you won, at least you won, at least you won. To me, that's something that losers be saying. Now, I'm just being honest with you. And I don't think that this team has loser aspirations. I don't think that this team is a loser. And I don't think that they should use words that losers use, right? It's almost like well, now you're on the couch with us. Well, the only people who say that are the people who were there first. There's certain things that people say that I think is a defeated mentality. And I'm not here to express loser rhetoric. And I don't think TCU would want me to. I'm here to uphold a standard of excellence because I think that's what TCU holds themselves to. Now, for me, this game started off with a bang. This game started off phenomenally. This game started off the way I thought this game would start off, and that it ended in a fashion that was kind of head-scratching. It was quite disappointing. I don't know if you feel satisfied with this game, and we're going to talk about it. I don't know if you necessarily feel, yes, they are always lacking on the road. Let me pull this up. Ashley Jackson, this team is always lacking on the end. The fourth quarter always has me on the edge of my couch. We're going to get to more comments and more speaking. And you know what? Let me acknowledge this, because I think this is a phenomenal point. Zoom play 3201. I love the muscles. I love the gym work. All right. Darian, chill out. It's a road win, and they always struggle playing at West Virginia. I think that is a phenomenal point. It is not a point that I am oblivious of. And it's a point I wanted to address because it's something that I need to articulate. I know they're on the road, but I think they're a better enough team. And I don't think that's the way that you're supposed to phrase it. I think the margin between West Virginia and TCU is enough to where I think you still should have won comfortably. I'm not saying it should have been a 30-point win, but I think that there were a lot of problems in this game that I didn't see coming. There were struggles to protect Josh Hoover, struggles to get push in the second half. The truth of the matter is this. TCU scored 20 points in the first half. And I can guarantee you, I'm going to go 95 just to give myself some leeway. 95% of the people on this stream felt like everybody was in line for a comfortable win. And then you get to an onside kick yet again. And I can guarantee you were scared. You didn't get to see last week's onside kick, but you're feeling like, oh man, don't tell me it happened again. That's what it felt like. This is a game that, yes, was on the road, but it felt like you still should have won comfortably going in. Felt like you still should have it felt like you still should have won comfortably going into halftime. And then the third quarter happened, the fourth quarter happened, and the only points you scored in the last 30 minutes was a field goal. That was it. So I think that this was still relatively disappointing. I still think that there was more to give. And I understand that we can point to history, but I think sometimes that's cop-out. Sometimes I think it's a cop-out. I think that, yes, you won a tough road game or you won in a tough road environment. And because I've hampered or I've honed in on that, I don't want to ignore it. They should be applauded for that. But how many weeks do we have to sit here and watch starting off high, ending low, or starting off slow, trying to rally together? This was the first week in, I think, about a month that TCU scored points in the first quarter, and they dropped 10 of them. Really good start. Really good start. And it just felt like everything kind of hit the wall. Eric McAllister, who is our player of the game, ended up not really being much of a factor between the midway point of the third quarter and the final play. That was a real play outside of kneel downs. The final play of the game. That's confusing to me. That's odd to me. Like, there's just certain things. The defense, I thought the defense was actually pretty solid throughout. I thought that they played soft. I thought that TCU's cornerbacks got attacked a little bit towards the midway point of the third quarter once again. And that last touchdown drive, in my opinion, was really you just playing soft. But they were attacking you enough prior to that to where it does also look like the defense kind of tapered down. So I hope that I addressed the idea of what my expectations were. And I don't want to come into angry. I'm not angry, but I am passionate. And I think that this is also just the way that I speak. And I think that you are passionate as well. And I'm sure you don't want to consistently watch games that have you feeling comfortable and then have you feeling antsy. You did it last week. You did it this week. You did it against Arizona State. I can't necessarily say that way about Colorado. I don't think that game had you antsy. Monday, we're going to be even more honest about what I think this says about TCU. But right now, what I can say right now is that TCU let a game get closer than it should for 2 weeks in a row. Not going to go any further because I know you know what that means. It's concerning. It's concerning to me, and it's probably concerning to you. Now, we're going to move forward. We're going to talk about some absent stars, some stars that just weren't around, starting with a bang, ending with a whimper, but the star returned when the whimper was happening, and I thought he was a pretty influential piece. So let's push forward and look at Kavorian Barnes' timely return. I don't know what the absence was about, but I'm sure that you who are listening to or paying attention to the tweets will probably be able to tell me in the comments. So let me know as we continue with Locked On Horned Frogs. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. Listen, it's almost the weekend, and it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP because it's still a victory, and I'm going with Eric McAllister. I already told you he's my player of the game, so it's no surprise that he's also going to be the MVP for DoorDash. And just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash, I feel like McAllister delivered every Saturday. So in this situation, I would say that last play of the game where he caught that out route, ran up, and yeah, I know he ended up fumbling, but we're going to excuse that point right now because sometimes you hit a bump in the car and DoorDash still is going to deliver. I'm just telling you the real. And just like McAllister delivered for the Frogs, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, and fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply, promo period through November 18th. Today's episode is also brought to you by Mazda's, moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. We want points on the board, but we also want to move the game forward. We also want to move the culture forward. And I'm trying not to reach back to that same play by Eric McAllister, but I think I have to. I don't know if there's actually, I'm going to go with Trent Battle. I'm going to go with Trent Battle's, I was about to say 65. That was last week. 46-yard run. Didn't quite get a touchdown, but it was a break-off run by Battle in a role that I think he was thrusted in a little bit unexpectedly, but he performed admirably. So just like Trent Battle, when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, we rolling. Locked on Horned Frogs post game. TCU, West Virginia. It was a close one, closer than you probably expected, but the Frogs got the victory. We're going to talk about our player of the game. We're going to talk about some unexpected stars, and then we're going to get to some comments as we close out. Monday, you got to be here. Monday, you have to be here because we're going to be absolutely transparent. We're going to keep it all the way real about what this game says about TCU. And I don't want to do it today and then come back on Monday. I want to sit for a second. I want to live with it for a second because I already know how I'm feeling. When I wake up in the morning, we'll see if I'm feeling the same way. But we're going to get this immediate reaction out of the way. However, in our player of the game, Eric McAllister. Eric McAllister versus West Virginia. The number one receiver for the Frogs had 9 catches for 124 yards and 1 touchdown. I will not poo-poo on the moment. I will not speak ill of the moment. What I will say is that there was an absence, and when everything was on the line, Eric McAllister showed up. Eric McAllister had an out route when he hadn't really been featured in the offense for about 15 minutes or so. I think his last target came with 5 minutes in that third quarter, and this came with basically 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So you're looking at 18 minutes of action. Eric McAllister ran an out route on a side of the field that he's not normally on. That's the other thing. I would actually say that was a very impressive design by Kendall Browse. Eric McAllister plays almost exclusively on the right side, specifically outside on the boundary. That's pretty much where he's going to line up every single time. I'm talking old school X receiver. You know where to find him every single play type of player. But this time he was in the slot on the left side, which is pretty much the only time you'll see him on the left. And he runs an out route. So you kind of trick the defense's eyes when guessing where McAllister will be, and you target him. And that's important when everybody knows that the ball is going to McAllister. Everybody knows that Josh Hoover is going to target his number one weapon, and he did it with ease because play design and also the talent of McAllister. This is our player of the game. I'll flash it one more time, but McAllister has 9 catches and maybe none bigger than that last catch, 124 yards on the day and a touchdown. Easy selection, in my opinion, for player of the game. Honorable mention to Trent Battle. But one of the reasons it's an honorable mention to Trent Battle is because Kevorian Barnes just wasn't around. And I don't know where Barnes was. I can't wait to hear what the post-game press conference looks like. But Barnes had maybe the first carry of the game. He had a carry in the first quarter with about 13 minutes left. I can't remember if it was the first play or the first carry of the day. But we didn't see him again until late. Let me make sure I get the exact timestamps as well. So Kevorian Barnes had 8 carries for 27 yards. His first one came with 13 on the day, 5-yard gain. He didn't see the ball again until a minute left in the third quarter. We didn't even see him. I don't know what that was about. There was an absent in stardom, but when Barnes did return, I think he was the type of running back that you needed in that moment. It felt like the tides were turning and TCU needed tough yards. And Battle can get you some tough yards, but I think that Barnes is the guy who you're going to lean on for that. He's the guy who you're going to point to and say, all right, this is a real mucked up interior. We need you to just leg drive your way to 2 yards. And he did that a couple of times. We need you to just find that little crease and just hit the hole. Not all the dancing, not Le'Veon Belling it up where you're trying to make sure you get this. We need you to see the pile and know that it's a pile, but there's a little crease in there and just give me 2. And I thought that Barnes did a good job of that. And so I thought that was a good performance. But where was Joseph Manjack? He was there. I seen him. Wasn't listed on the injury report. I seen him, though. I think they said he was out there on the onside kick. So in a very important moment, Manjack was on the field, but I don't really remember seeing him on offense. And we're going to take a look at that when it comes to PFF. But this will be the second week in a row. And actually, let me try to log on PFF right now and see if they have snap counts and things of that nature. I'm a little bit doubtful that they will, but it is worth, it's worth at least a look up, right? But Joseph Manjack didn't have any catches today. I didn't see a target for him today. Let me make sure I'm not tripping on that. But Manjack, at least no catches. At least no catches. And it was just odd to see him be a non-factor. So last week, because that was week 8, right? Yeah, that was week 8. Last week he had 1, 10, 12 snaps on offense. I'll be interested to see what happens with him this week and see what that snap count looks like. But it was very strange to not see Joseph Manjack. It was very strange to not see Kevorian Barnes. I do think Barnes was injured. It was just I didn't expect to see him that late in the game. I just thought he was done for the day. So it is a positive sight that you are going to see Kevorian Barnes. Next week's a bye week, but after that, you're going to see him. He's not banged up like that. But Manjack, I don't know. Head scratching, to be honest. I don't know what to make of that. I hope that Dykes gives us something to say. We always do Sarah's stat of the week. Darian's stat of the week is a big fat 0. A big fat 0, because that's how many snaps that Joseph Manjack, or how many catches Joseph Manjack has had. Let's see. We're going to read off some things. Richard Berry, I said we're going to get to something you said earlier, but West Virginia has historically been a thorn in the side, but that team is not really good. This is the point in the year when a lot of team spirit is already broken. No need to try and give them hope. I agree. And I thought that West Virginia actually did some things well. I really liked their decision to get Scotty Fox moving and get like little out routes from the slot. I thought that was beautiful. It was a good way to take advantage of how off TCU was. But I felt like TCU gave a team that was hopeless a little too much hope. And they're looking to develop. They're trying to have their mindset set towards 2026. And you gave them reason for optimism. You gave their freshman quarterback, who looked like a guy who was no longer making his first snap or his first start, looked like somebody who's no longer making your first start. I think you kind of wanted him to stay in that bubble, though. This is the question, or this is the comment that I wanted to relay. It does feel like Eric McAllister has some situations where you should have brought that down. It's best skill, worst hands, weakest hands is a very interesting way to describe Eric McAllister. I don't think it was. I think it's an interesting way to describe it. It's not one I can really fight that much. It does feel like there's situations where he should bring him down. There tends to be, even in these monster games, one play where it's like, I think you should have caught that. They're rarely egregious, and he tends to cover them up with better plays. But I think it's funny, and I kind of understand. I understand. Here we go. Dion Lewis 4635 says, I think no Manjack was by design. Utilized Everhart to help out the run game, although Everhart did have one deep attempt, which was pretty close. Maybe, but no targets. No targets is strange. No targets is just strange to me. I get using less of him, but I actually thought that they were going to try to get him involved. Just get some touches, man. Like, I don't know. It just feels kind of phased out-ish. I'm going to take a couple of more of these. No good team plays soft in the fourth quarter. BYU literally stole the game from Iowa State because they play hard start to finish, maybe even harder in the finish. Every great team plays harder in the finish. Every great team does that. Yikes. Come on, let's get some. Okay, here we go. Well, first off, Aquarius Mom, I still have the crystal ball. I don't know if I'm going to be pulling it out anytime soon because my predictions didn't come true. But yeah, I still believe we're going to the Big 12 championship game. I don't want you to think I'm just cherry picking negative comments. I think it's going to be a long shot. I do. But if you go undefeated, you have a much better chance of doing it. I still think it's a long shot because you have a lot of competitive teams on your schedule throughout the next week or next couple of weeks to close out the season. You got to play BYU, you got to play Iowa State, you got to play Cincinnati. Like you got to play Houston. These are tough games. I don't know what that Houston-Arizona State game is, but I didn't want you to think I'm just out here picking all the negative, right? Only people that agree with me. So shout out Zoom Play 3201, but he still has faith. All right, I'm an Arlington guy through and through. I hope to see TCU in Arlington. Okay. This is Deion Lewis. This is going to be a segment. I didn't plan on it, but he says, if you're TCU's coaching staff, what's your focus point going into the bye? I don't know if I have an immediate answer for you, but I will turn this into a segment. That is a great question. That's a great question. Let's see. Last question, or last thing I'm going to answer. Thank you, Mark Moore. Arizona State is down 10 points to UH. They're down 10 points to UH at the beginning of the third quarter. So that's what you got these teams on your schedule, man. It's tough. Getting to the Big 12 championship feels like a long shot at this point. I'll be honest with you. Uninspired offensive performance today. D won the game. Thank you. Thank you for saying I won the game. No, in all seriousness, the defense won the game today. And Hoover's worst performance all season today, no doubt. Didn't know TCU was so good that you could sit your best running back for most of the game. I don't know. I really hope that's not the case. I really hope that there was something that was going on. Yeah, I hope not. But this was one of the worst performances we had seen. I don't know if I'll probably still point to Arizona State, just the absolute collapse at the end. But yeah, I think maybe expectations were different here. So I get it. Uninspired. You want more defense, did win the game. I hate that those defensive plays happened towards the end because I thought the defense did a good job throughout the day. I thought about making Caleb Elarms or my player of the game, but the impact on the game I thought was more apparent with Eric McAllister. So I end up going with that being an easy choice. But yeah, defense. Guys, I appreciate you. We're going to be back on Monday. And on Monday, we're going to keep it real. We're going to be all the way honest about what this game means. So flood the comments. I'll try to plug as much. Also, this is a bye week. I'm going to say this again on Monday. It's a bye week this week. If you drop enough comments, I'll probably do a Monday mailbox or a Monday mailbag, something like that, some sort of interactive thing coming into next week. We'll spend most of this week talking about this game and then also how the bye week should go. But then when we come off of the bye week, I want to do more fan interaction. I'll try to mention that earlier on Monday's episode. But in the meantime, in between time, until the next time that we hear each other, family, take care. Stay blessed. Peace.